My name's Lena Carver, a 48-year-old single mom and former civil engineer from Bozeman, Montana. 6 months ago, I was drowning in debt, piecing my life back together after a brutal custody battle and a layoff from my job at a struggling construction firm. Then came the call about my great-aunt Mildred's will. She'd left me 650 acres of rugged land in the Bitterroot Valley, including a small canyon and a spring-fed creek she'd called Carver's Cut. The lawyer's voice was apologetic, like he was handing me a bag of expired groceries. "It's mostly rock and scrub," he said. "Might be good for grazing goats if you're into that." I drove 8 hours to see it, expecting a tax headache. Instead, I found a hidden paradise. Juniper-scented air, a crystal creek carving through red rock cliffs, and a weathered cabin where Mildred had lived like a modern-day pioneer. The land had been in our family since 1919, deeded through a federal homestead grant. At the canyon's mouth sat a small, hand-built dam Mildred had maintained to control seasonal flooding for downstream ranches. The air smelled of sagebrush and freedom, and for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. That's when the black Range Rover rolled up. Out stepped Victor Grayson, president of the Silver Pines Homeowners Association, in a tailored blazer and boots shinier than a new penny. He carried a leather folder and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "You must be Lena," he said, like we were old pals. "I represent the upscale community just beyond your property line. We're very interested in your aunt's land." He offered $20,000 cash to take it off my hands, citing complex zoning issues and environmental liabilities. I smelled a rat. When I declined, his charm turned to ice. "This land's a legal minefield, Ms. Carver. The county's strict about unpermitted structures like that dam. You don't want trouble with the planning board." He left me with a business card and a veiled threat about costly disputes. The next day, I found survey stakes driven into my property, bright orange flags marking a proposed boundary adjustment that conveniently gave Silver Pines half my canyon. Tucked under a rock was a glossy brochure for Silver Pines Resort, Phase 2, boasting 62 luxury condos planned for my land. Victor wasn't helping me. He was trying to steal my inheritance. The attack came fast. A week later, I got a county notice claiming my dam violated water management codes, endangering downstream stakeholders. The surveyor? Grayson's cousin, Tim. The complaint was filed by none other than Victor Grayson himself, citing a new survey that redrew my property lines to favor his HOA. I was ordered to pay $40,000 for an environmental study or face demolition of the dam. For a broke engineer with 2 kids in school, that was a death sentence. But Mildred had taught me something during childhood summers. Land is power, Lena. Know your rights. I hit the county archives where a chain-smoking clerk named Doris helped me unearth the 1919 homestead grant. It wasn't just a deed, it was a federal contract granting my family's senior water rights and a 150-foot buffer zone that sliced through Silver Pines' golf course and clubhouse. Better yet, Mildred's dam was federally permitted as a flood control structure, exempt from local regulations. Victor's survey was as fake as his smile. Digging deeper, I found a pattern. Other landowners who'd refused Victor's lowball offers faced similar complaints: wetland violations, illegal fencing, even a guy cited for excessive dust. All complaints were filed by Victor and approved by his old college buddy, planning director Carl Whitmore. Follow the money, follow the connections. The courthouse smelled of stale coffee and corruption, but I had my ammunition. I hired a certified surveyor, costing me $2,000 I borrowed against my truck. Her GPS mapping confirmed the federal grant's boundaries, revealing that Silver Pines' golf course, clubhouse, and half their condos sat on my land. Federal homestead law trumped local zoning, and I was about to remind Victor of that fact. I called him at dawn, voice sweet as pie. "Victor, I'm installing new boundary markers today. Your golf course is on my property. So's your clubhouse. Might want to tell your members." His response was pure venom. "You're making a mistake, Lena." "We have lawyers," I laughed. "So do I, and the U.S. government." By noon, concrete posts marked the true property line, cutting through their pristine fairways. HOA residents gathered, clutching their iced lattes, staring at No trespassing signs like they'd been slapped. Victor's Range Rover screeched to a halt, his face redder than the canyon cliffs. "This is extortion," he bellowed. I waved the federal deed. "This is my land, darling. Your condos are squatting." He doubled down, filing an emergency motion to declare my dam a public hazard, demanding its immediate removal. The county scheduled a $60,000 impact study, knowing I couldn't pay. But Mildred's journals, found in her cabin's attic, were my secret weapon. Decades of meticulous records documented the dam's compliance with federal standards, built to Army Corps of Engineers specs in 1942. The concrete was stronger than most modern bridges, with drainage systems that could handle a biblical flood. Then I found the real bombshell. Mildred's dam controlled water flow for a federally designated emergency supply serving 2 counties. Under drought conditions, documented for the past 2 years, I had legal authority to manage water release, superseding all local jurisdiction. Victor's condos sat in a floodplain that I could legally inundate during emergency operations. I gave Victor one chance to back off. He responded by sending bulldozers to stabilize my creek, ripping out native willows and dumping gravel into protected wetlands. The air turned sour with diesel and mud, and I found a dead fox crushed under construction debris near Mildred's favorite fishing spot. That was the last straw. I called Rachel Najuyan, an environmental reporter who'd exposed shady developers across Montana. Photos of the destroyed willows and polluted creek went viral, shared by conservation groups and retweeted thousands of times. Victor hired security goons to patrol his site, claiming eco-terrorist threats. But my trail cameras, hidden in juniper thickets, caught his crews dumping paint thinner and concrete slurry into the creek. Each frame was a felony under the Clean Water Act. The final weapon was in Mildred's safe, unlocked with the date of her wedding anniversary. Inside were federal water management contracts, giving me authority to initiate controlled flooding during drought emergencies. I assembled my team: Rachel for media, a lawyer named Elena Voss, who worked pro bono for environmental cases, a hydrologist from Montana State, and a tribal elder, Mary Two Hawks, whose people had fished the creek for centuries. Their treaty rights added another layer of federal protection. On July 4th, Victor planned a grand opening for his condos, complete with fireworks and a senator's ribbon cutting. I planned something better. At 2 p.m., with news crews filming Victor's speech about progress over backwardness, I activated the dam's release valves remotely. Sirens wailed as water surged, flooding condo foundations with surgical precision, enough to ruin them, not enough to harm anyone. I rolled up in Mildred's old Jeep, flanked by Elena, Mary, and my hydrologist, Dr. Patel. "Victor Grayson," I announced through a bullhorn, "you're under federal investigation for environmental crimes and permit fraud." FBI agents, tipped off by my camera footage, handcuffed him as his face turned the color of spoiled milk. The crowd of condo buyers gasped as I explained how their investments were built on stolen land and forged permits. Mary Two Hawks spoke next, her voice steady as the creek. "This land is sacred. Federal treaties protect it. Your development is over." Dr. Patel showed data proving the flooding was necessary to restore the ecosystem, backed by federal authority. Elena waved the homestead deed, nullifying every HOA permit. Victor screamed about lawsuits as water lapped at his $1,200 loafers. "You're destroying lives," he spat. "No," I said, cameras rolling. "You sold these people a lie. I'm just cleaning up your mess." The aftermath was chaos and redemption. Victor got 2 years in prison for fraud and environmental violations. His condo buyers recovered 75% of their money through lawsuits against the HOA's insurers. The Carver's Cut Trust, funded by settlement money, now protects 900 acres, including land bought back from remorseful buyers. We built a sustainable community. Tiny homes with solar panels and rainwater systems. That's a model for eco-friendly development. Property values soared as tourists flocked to the restored canyon. My kids, Mia and Ethan, spend summers helping with trust programs, teaching kids about water conservation. The creek runs clear again, and I've seen foxes return to Mildred's fishing spot. The Trust's annual festival draws thousands, celebrating land stewardship and community power. Victor's old golf course is now a native plant preserve, and I sleep in Mildred's cabin, waking to sagebrush and hope. So, what's your HOA horror story? Drop it below and tell me where you're watching from. If you loved seeing a bully get drowned by justice, hit like and subscribe for more tales of fighting back. Sometimes, inheritance isn't just land, it's a legacy to protect.